You ever walk into a coffee shop and stare at a glass door fridge that looks like a cheap, half-finished cabinet, only to realize you've paid way more than you should have for the drinks inside? That little moment of buyer's remorse is why I'm always skeptical about budget display refrigerators, especially when the unit is meant to sit front and center in a CAF or a small restaurant. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. And today we're going to see if the FreezLabs commercial display refrigerator with its 30 cubic foot capacity actually lives up to the promise of a smarter purchase, or if it's just another glossy front that disappoints once you start loading it up. First off, let's talk about the environment this fridge is meant for. Most small food service operations don't have a dedicated walk-in freezer. They rely on a single, eye-catching cooler to showcase bottled water, sodas, juice boxes, and sometimes even pre-packaged snacks. The FreezLabs model offers a full glass front, LED lighting, and adjustable shelves, features that, on paper, should make it a standout piece on any counter. But those specs only mean something if the unit can actually keep the product at the right temperature while staying energy efficient, and if the glass door doesn't become a liability in a high-traffic space. From a practical standpoint, the first thing you'll notice when you pull this unit out of the box is the sheer size. 30 cubic feet translates to roughly a 3-foot wide, 4-foot rectangle, which makes it a fairly imposing presence. If your service area is tight, you'll need to plan the layout carefully. I've seen at least one cafe manager admit that they underestimated the depth and had to shift a prep table a few inches to make room for the hinges. On the flip side, the large interior volume is a huge upside for anyone who needs to keep a wide variety of beverages stocked without constantly restocking. For a busy brunch spot that serves coffee, tea, smoothies, and a host of cold drinks, the extra shelving space can mean the difference between a smooth flow and a line of customers waiting for a soda. The LED lighting is another point that many buyers will care about. Compared with traditional fluorescent tubes, LEDs run cooler and use less power, which is a subtle but real benefit when you're trying to keep the interior temperature stable. In a real-world test at a neighborhood deli, the LEDs stayed bright for weeks without flickering, and the temperature gauge stayed comfortably in the 34-36 range even after the fridge had been opened repeatedly throughout a lunch rush. That said, the LEDs are positioned directly behind the glass, so the clarity of the display depends heavily on the quality of the glass itself. The FreezLabs model uses tempered glass that's fairly clear, but you'll still notice a slight distortion when you're standing close, something that can make it a bit harder for customers to read labels on smaller bottles. Who should buy this unit? If you run a CAF, a small restaurant, or a convenience corner in a larger store and you need a single, high-visibility cooler that can handle a decent load, the FreezLabs display fridge is worth a look. It especially makes sense if you already have a reliable back-of-house refrigeration system and you're just looking for a front-of-house showcase. The adjustable shelves are sturdy enough to support heavy soda crates, yet flexible enough to accommodate slimmer water bottles or even a few snack packs. It also works well for a microbrewery taproom that wants to keep bottled craft beers chilled and on display. On the other hand, if you're a homeowner trying to set up a home bar, or a small office attempting to install a single-serve cooler in a break room, you'll probably be better off looking at a smaller, countertop model. The footprint of this fridge is too big for many office spaces, and the glass door can become a hazard if kids or pets are around. Additionally, if you're hoping for ultra-low energy consumption, be aware that a 30 cubic foot unit will draw a noticeable amount of power, especially in hot climates where the compressor has to work harder. It's not the most efficient thing on the market. It's a workhorse designed for volume, not for tiny savings on your electric bill. The practical weaknesses show up when you start using the fridge day after day. The first thing I noticed in one of my trial runs was the door seal. The rubber gasket feels solid initially, but after a few weeks of frequent opening and closing, the seal starts to soften at the edges. In a kitchen environment where the door is opened every few minutes, that can lead to a slight temperature rise if you're not vigilant about keeping the door closed. It's not a catastrophic failure, but it does mean you have to stay on top of cleaning the gasket and checking for any signs of wear. Also, the unit doesn't come with an internal thermometer, you have to trust the built-in digital readout on the control panel. That panel is simple and functional, but it can be a bit hard.